Welcome, everybody. Thank you all. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for joining. Let's go. Hi, everybody. Let's go. Thank you all. Let's go. Oh, 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 Thank you, everybody. We'll kick up in the next 1 minute. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. Let's give everybody else another 1 minute and we'll get started. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all. If you don't mind, slam and jam the like button. Let's make sure more people can be part of the community. Thank you, Amaka. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Bintu. Thank you, Ngozi. More time in the house. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ashley. Thank you, Ita. Thank you, Chibuzo in the house. Thank you all. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Ade in the house. Thank you, June. Thank you, Ogechi. Thank you, everybody. Let's go, people. Thank you all. All right, we'll kick up in another 1 minute. Hi, Joshua. Thank you, Stanley. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Mudiaga. Thank you, Fred. Thank you, Kathy Bong in the house. The laser shot. Hey, if you don't mind, please jam the like button. Let's have more people get on Hey, what's up, Peter? Thank you, Peter. All right, let's go. All right, let's get started. We have a lot of exciting stuff to do today. So let's just get into the weeds of it real quick. All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for taking the time to hang out. There are so many great things you can do on a Wednesday evening. You decided to hang out with us. So thank you everybody. So the goal is ultimately in the next 1 hour, we hope to give you the right skills, tools to make you comfortable to assess an AI large learning model. And the beautiful thing, I love this so much, is the fact that all of us are new. So nobody can say with a straight face, hey, I'm an expert in this thing. So the advantage of that is that we can leverage it, we can be the pioneers, we can honestly sometimes make mistakes too. And y- people will not even know most times. But that's not the intent. The intent is to make sure we are so knowledgeable in this field that we can speak intelligent to it. We can leverage our knowledge base to add value ultimately to an organization. So we started the journey over the weekend and we started identifying some key documents and key risk areas around large learning model. So the first 30 minutes, I'm just going to just relax. Let me talk about some basic different frameworks globally that people use. And the reason I wanted to share that with us is so that we can have an idea of, oh, okay, it's not just one size fits one or model rather. It's really customizing it to the uniqueness of your organization. So if in case you're not aware of it, in case you've not registered, please do me a favor once you have time later, go to skillwith.com or skillwith academy. Once you register, you will be able to log into a portal like this. In the portal, every document we'll be using in this program is there already. You can see we have the ebook there already. We have tons of materials. All of the materials we'll be talking about throughout this program is also available. And we have a solid template ready to go if you need to do an assessment of an organization today, which is amazing, really. Um, I've not seen any template anywhere in the world, to be honest. So I think we can take that street credit that hey, we are one of the few templates out there designed for AI large learning models. So, which is good. Leverage it, use it well as much as you can. All right. So please go ahead and register. And all you need to do is go to academy.skillway.com and you can register for the program. You have access to all these materials. If you're not in a WhatsApp group, once you register, you would have a link to join that group. And full disclosure, folks will never call you for a pin. Beware of scammers. That's the new normal right now. So we just have to be more enlightened. Don't let anyone scam you. If anyone calls you and say they are from any of our team, just ignore them and report them to Facebook, WhatsApp. They are scammers. Okay, so just be mindful of that. All right. So the AI group is going to be the official group. Will share most of our information. Now, this is the kicker. Be ready for this, ladies and gentlemen. The first 30 minutes, we're just going to go through some documents. The last 1 hour is the fun part. We're going to go to the Zoom. So it means if you are not on our WhatsApp group, you will not have access to the Zoom because we're not going to share it in the public to avoid malicious actors, scamming our guys. So make sure you register quickly and join that group because in a few minutes we're going to do some working session. And please embrace the working session. That is the meat of the whole exercise, really. And one exciting thing, in case you don't know, is I've seen some roles recently called AI compliance analyst. And you know, what we are doing is actually what a compliance analyst is expected to do. I didn't even know there was a role called that until recently myself. Like, oh, okay. Oh, okay. So what we're doing is actually the industry has carved out a niche because they realize that a lot of companies are adopting large learning models, Copilot, BARD, um, internal large learning model for their own unique situation. So the key is just to make sure we are doing our due diligence. Okay. All right. So let's jump into what we have for today and we get into the labs. Please, the lab is the biggest piece of the puzzle. Make sure you're part of it. Very important. Okay. All right. Keep me honest here. The next 20 minutes, I'm going to be a little bit fast. So don't get crazy about this. The reason I want to do this is, and I'm going to share the document with us in our AI group. So don't worry, you can pick that up. You know what? Let me just share it right now. So if you're in the WhatsApp group, you'll see me share what I'm presenting right now. You can grab it and use it for your own purpose as I share. Okay. Just a good one because there are so many regulations out there. So what I attempted to do was capture as many of those regulations existing and we just talk about it. Now, one thing you will notice, there's a lot of overlap. I mean, I think it's fair to say any regulation that does not talk about AI bias, we know that they're probably biased, right? So that's a indicator that okay, a lot of them will be saying similar things, but it's good to just know what are those regulations out there. So I'm going to be quick because I'm looking forward to our working session. All right. So indulge me, grab a coffee. Let's just quickly run through this real quick. Okay. I'll be quick and straight to the point. All right. So these are the key regulations I've seen out there recently. NIST has its own AI risk management framework. There's the MITRE attack. There's ISO. There's AI in cybersecurity by ENISA. There's IEEP 7003. So there's EU Act. There is DHI strategy, AI ethic partnership. So there are so many of them. What I attempted to do is capture the essence of most of them so that you can have an idea of the pattern. When you study it and read it alone on your own, you realize "Oh, these things are very similar in nature, and that's fine. But the minimum, we've captured a lot of those frameworks out there that reference AI. Okay, let's get into it quickly. All right. Let's take the first one. All right. All of us are aware of NIST. NIST is the National Institute of Standard and Technology, is a US federal agency that develops standard and guidelines. Guidelines typically are just recommended practices, so most people will use it. So when AI became a big deal, they developed a similar guideline for AI models. So it's a popular one out there. What does it address? It breaks some several components like ensuring there's risk assessment done, there is evaluation of risk management, there is a mitigation plan, which is just to fix issues they've noticed, and there's a continuous monitoring process also inclusive. Then it talks about within that guideline, there should be some threat modeling, impact analysis, likelihood analysis, risk prioritization, just within that model, what they expect us to do before you deploy a large learning model in your organization. All right. They also said, hey, there should be overall risk management strategy also, which includes things like implementing security controls, training and awareness, incident response plan. The beautiful thing is that they are very similar in nature, but I want to make sure any of you can pick up a regulation and realize, oh, okay, they are similar. I mean, they're very similar in nature. I'll be surprised and worried if they are not similar, really. So I think it's a really cool thing. And it talks about risk mitigation measures. What are we thinking about in terms of we have these large learning models? What are the things you would like to be there? Let's think together for a second. it's just like having a database. Let's face it. One of the things I'm thinking about is number one, is there encryption? Meaning at any point in times, all this our we all use ChatGPT, we use Bard, we use Google. As we are using it, are the data encrypted? I think that's a fair thing. Number two, are we thinking about access control? Who has access to those model? Then secondly, thirdly, we are thinking about what is the audit process? Are we auditing this model continuously? Then backup and recovery. What happens if we lose all our data? I'm sure most of us, all of us, have probably experienced this where you try to log into ChatGPT or bad and it gives you a lot of errors, right? In those kind of situation, do we have a backup and recovery? So that's a big one out there, right? Then of course, continuous improvement is going to be a big one for us, and that's really for the NIST. MITRE attack is a big one out there for threat modeling in general, but they also add some, you know, take around AI models. So I wanted to just make sure we know that they also add some comment around it. It's talking about in terms of mobile enterprise or industrial control system, which is for plant or manufacturing plants. What are those techniques involved to make sure we can reduce any potential attack in general? So that's really the overall gist around MITRE attack. But it's also kind of said, okay, within our threat modeling, if there was a potential vulnerability within our system or our large learning model, how do we recover from it too? So it talks a little bit about it. Then do we have a detection and mitigation strategy? Meaning if we detect there is a potential injection of malicious code into your large learning model, how do we respond to it? Now, don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, most of this model we are talking about, right, at the end of the day, there's a potential threat and risk. If somebody injects malicious record code into a large learning model. A good example is healthcare. If there's a clinical research going on and somebody injects false data, potentially it can nullify decades of research information. It can lead to potential death of subject or patient because it has bad malicious data in it. So think about the potential breach. Now we are talking about all the good things ChatGPT is doing. But think for a second, if there was a malicious intent ingesting bad information into a model, it can change a society in general because it will start giving us false information, wrong information. Leadership will keep making bad decisions because of that. So the ramifications are just insanely crazy if it happens, right? So that's a big deal. Then this is just an example of a potential MITRE attack. The execution, access, detection, response, metric mitigation. Now, don't overthink all this. The whole intent is just to give you an awareness of some of those particular guidelines or technique out there globally today, okay? So that at least when you hear it, it will not be something strange to you. In general, we are not going to use any of this specifically. ISO also came up with his own and said, okay, we're not going to be out of the loop. They said, okay, we have an AI extension into the loop of ISO 27001, right? Most of us understand this is a standard for information security management system out there, but they also said, hey, we're not going to be left out. We have an AI extension, meaning we've considered AI too, because you have to consider AI at the moment. Because if not, I don't know what you're doing because that would be a disaster because that's the big deal right now at this point. So I'll just jump into the one that what it focus in the AI model. If you notice what ISO focus here, it talks about data management, ensuring integrity around it, the model management, how do you manage your model, the transparency around the algorithm, then ethical consideration. Those would be the main things I think most environment will think about: data integrity, model management in terms of access around it, the transparency around the algorithm, then the ethical consideration. Is it ethical? And if you guys remember the assignment we did over the weekend, we'll get into more details from I think 7 to 12 today. But that's pretty much the whole concept around it. But there's a guideline from ISO. So we talked about MITRE attack, we talked about NIST having its own. Now we're talking about ISO having its own. I just want to make sure you understand every organization in the world is considering it now. So just to create that awareness. So when you go through the document, by the way, I've shared it already. Again, I'll just scan through this so that you know there are many organizations thinking through those guidelines. That's just the goal, really, to just to create an awareness around it. Okay, I'll jump around and make sure. So this is another one. This is another body, ENISA. This is the European Union Agency for Cybersecurity. They also integrated AI into their standard. All right. So I'll be quick on this. You can read this on your own, but I just want to make sure you know every part of those global organization has integrated AI into as an add-on, addition, update, enhancement into their standard or framework right now. It's a big deal all over the world. Okay. And these are some best practices. One thing you'll notice is it's very similar in nature. They will talk about bias, they will talk about risk assessment, they will talk about the integrity and quality of the data, they will talk about security controls around the data. And we can all agree fundamentally, if you have a large learning model, I'm thinking about how do you access it? What is the security around it? What is the privacy around it? What are the ethical guidelines around it? Then, is there backup and recovery around it? Then, if there was a potential breach, is there effective incident response around it? How do we respond if there's a potential attack? So those are the key things I think we should all know. It's going to be a pattern around all of this standard in general. You can see they talk about ethical consideration here. The ethical piece, you remember again, the fairness, the transparency, the accountability. It's a huge deal globally today. Think for a second. If there was a clinical research and all the data is skewed towards certain demography, it means certain demography can lose their lives, really, because they were not put in consideration in terms of the research. Or if there was a loan application process and certain demography was targeted because of the bias of data, then we're talking about even employment. So the ramifications are just insane. There's a lot of reason why ethical consideration must be part of the mix at all times. Okay. All right. Again, every one of this is ENISA from the European Union. This is another one. Um, Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineering, Engineers, IEE, and P700 standard. Every one of these guys have integrated AI into their component. So you can see the pattern is the same thing: identification of biasness, transparency, accountability. The pattern is the same. Again, I've shared this with us, but I want to make sure you just know that it's not just one guideline out there. There are so many of them, and these are the popular ones out there today. Okay. Another one out there is OECD, and this is really Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, an international body. Of course, they are not left behind. They've also implemented some AI components. I believe every organization in the world today, even at the policy level, will start implementing some AI policy around the business now. So you can imagine it's still early. So the big organization, the big standard, big framework are adopting it. So eventually I know it will start getting into the corporate level, enterprise, regional, local. So it will start becoming something mainstream, getting into every policy. Just the way when COVID happened, remote work started becoming a big part of our policies. The same thing with AI now. Well, then we had before remote work, we had cloud. Cloud became a lot of policies around cloud in our organization. Then we moved to remote work during COVID, became mainstream. Now with AI model, I can bet you your leadership management are already thinking about it because all of these guys, most of them just started implementing it 3, 4 months ago. Some are even as recent as maybe 2 months. So every one of these guys are just adopting it. So that's why I said all of us, it's a good time because everybody does not really, nobody can claim expert yet because it's new to all of us, which is great. Good time to be part of this whole thing. Feel free go through this particular one if you want to later. That's for OECD. Another one is EU AI Act. Now you remember with European Union they don't play games, right? With their GDPR they don't play game. With this also it's a big deal. We've not seen to my knowledge yet, any company fined yet. But with the European Union, historically, they don't play games. They will find you crazy if you violate some of these acts within the European Union. So I'm curious to see if some of these have been, if there have been any fines recently. I've not heard anything in the news yet. But with The European Union also is the same trend. The safety, now they added human rights onto it. We're talking about the risk exposure. They have unacceptable, high risk, limited risk, minimal risk. So they went a little bit further to kind of make it a risk based model. You can see here they even have human rights oversight, the security, the data governance. So, you know, if the organization is a global company and you have a subsidiary in Europe, I have a feeling they would likely want you to be in compliance with the EU AI Act. That's what I think. So we will check with them. So normally, most of us will use maybe you use the NIST framework, ISO framework, or any internal one to you. But if you have subsidiary in Europe, you probably want to consider using this. Of course, you speak with the leadership, then you decide if that's what you want to do at that point in time. Compliance and enforcement, the European Union would enforce it. They don't play games. With GDPR, you can tell they would really enforce it. Some months ago, I believe, if I'm right, Facebook was fined 1 point something billion euro for some violation around GDPR. So it's a big deal. They don't play games with their own folks there. All right. The other one is CSA AI, which is another one out there. Cloud Security Alliance. This is a global organization that is really focused on securing cloud computing environment. So naturally, they have integrated AI too. So now within the cloud space, it's a big deal. Data quality, you can see the trend again is the same pattern. The security, the transparency, the ethical use. You can see a pattern. Whatever model you use in your organization, for now, just have the awareness that there are so many of them out there. But the theme is the same thing: the quality of the data, the access to the data, the security around the data, the transparency around the data, the ethic around the data. Those are trends, that you will see across, irrespective of the guideline or framework we use out there. Okay. Don't forget to jam like, folks. Just jam like, jam like. Let's go. Let's like so that more people can join. Let's go. All right. Another thing that is big here, you can see threat detection. With AI, this is really the core of AI. If you guys agree with me, anomaly detection, behavior analysis, predictive analytics. These are the things that AI does better than you and I. For humans, you are constantly monitoring data, the trend, but with these tools, they can monitor it 24/7 and figure out patterns based on the algorithm they've designed already. So, which is just amazing. It's crazy. But anyway, so risk management, you can see it has come here again, the pattern, security around the cloud. We can all agree at the end of the day, access is always going to be a common thing. How do you grant access? Because even if everything is fine and you don't have good access control, it's just a waste of your time because now somebody legally has access that is wrong. And they have the key to the kingdom, rightfully so, because they are not well trained on the right access control, and that can compromise your security in general. Then data encryption, the monitoring, incident response, the pattern is the same thing. All right, another big one, DHS AI security. For those of us just joining, what we are doing right now, I identify all the key players in AI all over the world, and I'm just saying, look at what they expect. Go back, look at the document. I've shared it in our community, and just see the trend and say, oh, okay, it's the same across the line: security, access control, ethic, you know, data quality. Those are the theme around all of them. But at the minimum, sometimes the organization will ask you, we're European based, we're international based, we're ISO 27001 compliance, then you will know you focus on the ISO. If it's a US company, they don't care, they just want you to have a reference with NIST. Okay, awesome. You use NIST. So you can use your judgment. Of course, you speak with your leadership first and you adopt it together. But they would expect you to give leadership and give them guidance on what you recommend also. I would always, if I have a subsidiary in Europe, definitely I would use the European EU Act for sure, right? Because that makes more sense. All right, this is, like I said, the same thing. Uh, Threat detection, incident response, risk management. So very similar process. Another one is AI ethics guideline by partnership on AI. This is a multi-stakeholder organization dedicated to addressing ethical issue in artificial intelligence. The beautiful thing is that, like we all mentioned earlier on, if you are just joining, all of us are new to this whole AI stuff, right? So it's beautiful because it's the learning curve is we're just all learning together. The conferences, I don't know if you all go to conferences too. I do. You realize it's the same thing. We're all learning together. I've not seen anyone that will say with a bold face, "Oh, I know everything about all the use cases," because it's just at the infantry stage. So for those of us that quickly adopt it and are knowledgeable, speaking intelligent to it, honestly, you will stand out. Definitely, you will stand out. I mean, yes, you will. Because not a lot. I've not even seen any program that gets into what we are doing. To be honest, make sure you join the next segment where we start sharing our documents and the artifacts we are using. It's crazy, man. But I've not seen any yet. So there might be some folks big for building, but I guess we've beat them to it at this point. So, all right, let's see another one. Fairness in AI. If you remember over the weekend, we talked about some document that talks about the result of the fairness within the AI model. And how do you know that? Sometimes it's just raw data. If you're working on an AI model and I ask you, give me the sample of all the users you have, and I see, you know, 90% of certain demography, then I know definitely there's an element of bias. That's an easy one for me to tell, right? So that's the way we have to think about it. You look at it and see if there was sufficient data to back it up that there's bias, then you bring it out and call it out. Whatever they use, whatever test data they use, they'll give you the information. So challenge it, ask, and they'll give you. And you know, you can articulate your concern if the data is not really well defined. Transparency, accountability, privacy, we can all at the end of the day, data protection, consent, anonymization, which is just ensuring that every PII is cleaned already. If you did not join us over the weekend, this is just a process to say what I've seen mostly. For example, anytime people ask me about AI, the question is, hey, when I put an information, would my company flag it? Most time, nobody will flag it except you put personal health information or personal identification information. Then it will flag. Because now we're talking about sensitive information, right? So it will flag because they've built those systems most times to kind of understand pattern that looks like a social security number, a name of a person, their address. Those kind of sensitive information would definitely flag. Or even if it does not flag, we can at the back end run certain algorithm to scan your history and see if there's violation there. So those are the things we should prepare at the back of our mind that, okay, do we have a process to make sure we don't have issues like that? Safety in AI, like we said earlier on, is still like a database somewhere, risk assessment, the security around it, effective testing and validation, then of course, oversight and monitoring in general. All right. This is a good one to just say, okay, what are some AI ethic guidelines? Develop a good plan, engage the right stakeholders, provide training all the time to your customers or your employees, then continuously do assessment in general. Another one is from Gartner. Gartner is a big research company out there, advisory company that's popular. But like I said, everybody has to put an element of AI in their story right now, which is what they did also. So they also kind of sneaked in AI governance, AI risk, best practice around AIs, and cybersecurity around AI also. For them, there's a lot of oversight, governance around the AI, who is responsible for what in the AI model itself, whose responsibility is to implement the security, the privacy, the ethic. All of these are things that should be baked in the process early. Then, of course, risk management in AI. This is the big one right now. Security solutions everywhere in the world. Everybody must add AI to their story, or else you will not sell. So I think that's a common trend I've seen. General best practice, we can agree: quality of the data, the security around the data, ethical use, then of course compliance. You don't have a choice, or else you're going to be fined. So that's going to be consistent. Another one is the ISO IEC JTC one SC 42, and this is really it's focused on standardization on the field of AI in general. Now, You would agree with me when there's a new technology, everybody tries to provide that oversight. Bodies come together, build a subcommittee, which these folks did. And you remember, everything is still new, but the format and the theme is the same thing. You can see here data management, trustworthiness, bias, ethical consideration is the same thing. Okay. Feel free, make sure everybody, if you have time, go through this document. It addressed the key players all over the world, providing insight around AI at the moment. It might change tomorrow. We have more people involved, but these are the big players out there. You can see data management as always, the quality of the data, the governance, the privacy, and how is the data sharing done also. Trustworthiness of AI systems. At the end of the day, if your data is not trustworthy, people will stop using it. As simple as that. If you guys remember when uh, Google Gemini, now called Bard, they did a live demo after ChatGPT, and it was a disaster at the first time. Then subsequent one, they now figure it out. They ran a query and it gave them bad data. So that kind of, you know, gave them a bad rep at that point in time. So it's the same thing. So you have to be very careful. The data must be good quality data, or else people will just stop using it. Ethical consideration is going to be the same thing. You can see that everything is just the same. The format and the pattern, the theme is very similar in nature, irrespective of the guideline, the framework. Everybody has the same. I'm here to see anyone that is different, but that's really the big ones out there. And let me quickly just show you guys the ones we went through. Please, everybody, you have access to this data, so you can always go back and take a look at it. I'll show you the key ones we discussed so that you guys can see the big players out there. Let me quickly go to the first page where we have all the. Okay, yeah, we go almost there. All right, so you guys will see the big players we went through. Okay, here we go. Yep. So these are the folks we went through. They are the big players out there that I've seen. If you all notice any new player out there, feel free to ping those names my way. I can update this document to reflect those new guys. But these are the ones I know are very recent. You can see the big players are there, European Union. Most other ones are international organization, besides maybe Gardner that is individual. So feel free, go and just go through those documentation. Now, if you've not registered and you're not in our WhatsApp group, I'm going to share the Zoom link on that WhatsApp group. Unfortunately, I cannot share it with everybody because it's going to be a public domain. We just want to make sure none of our folks' information is compromised. So please do me a favor. We are going to get into the working session, and honestly, folks, that is the most important piece of the puzzle. Everything else we're doing is cool, but that is the super cool part of everything we're doing. The hands-on session, that is the most important piece of the puzzle. Everything else is cool, but compared to this, and I'll show you why I said so. You guys will see this document real quick. Let me quickly show you guys this document for those of you that, in case you were not part of our program before, you see the value. So we're going to work on quick assessment tonight. Yes, the last time we met, we worked on a few, but tonight we'll do some extra one. Let me just show you guys real quick so you can appreciate it a little bit. Let me show you. Okay. All right, let me share my screen. If you've not joined, just please go ahead and join. Very important. This is the meat of it. This is what makes you confident to defend a job honestly. And the nice thing, I always love this part of it. It's nice when all of us are learning something. Nobody can, bamboozle you or tell you any BS, to be honest, because we're all learning right now. So, okay. So, if you guys remember, for those of us that were part of the class on Saturday, there are some documents we shared with us. Access policy, logs of, I think we did the first six, if I remember well. We went through up to bias, this document, and we were scoring the maturity based on the responses. Now, what you will notice in the maturity curve is as they are changing the maturity, you can go to the next tab and it will be showing you the scorecard. This is the pretty cool stuff, guys. I mean, again, why is this important? if you are showing your leadership where your maturity model is in your organization, this would allow you to effectively tell them the gaps in your light learning model. So wherever you are today, I can guarantee you, you can use this tomorrow and tell your organization, hey, can we do a quick assessment of our AI light learning model? And you can use this right now, immediately. Yeah. And you tell them, hey, this is the gap you noticed. And that's it, really. You can do it tomorrow. Yeah. So make sure you stick around, jump to the WhatsApp group. I'm going to share the Zoom call there and let's have fun. Before you go, please click the like button. Let's keep crunching it. But we're going to switch to Zoom because we want to do working session. Okay. All right. If that is cool, give me thumbs up, folks. All right. Thank you, Peter. I can see you gave me some insight. You said some tools, Watson, Google. Love it, love it, love it. All right. Okay, somebody said training to go in depth on how to test the bias. I mean, what I've seen in terms of the bias testing is you're going to use data. Many times you have to look at you might need to do analytics on the data that was provided to you because now you're going to test, check their large learning model, extract information, and most of those kind of data you cannot do it manually, right? So you're going to run it through a tool, an analytic tool that would really crunch it and give you information. And there are tools out there available, and the good thing, a lot of people are still trying to build something. So it's not like anyone has any major. All right, somebody give me another one. He said, DORA, Digital Operational Resilience Act of EU. That's another good one. All right, I would surely check that out. That's a good one. I'll probably check that out and update it to our community also. All right. Okay, cool. So ladies and gentlemen, please, we're gonna switch now. I would send the Zoom link and thanks for being part of this first segment. Join the Zoom link so that we can just pick it up from there. That's where we do our working session. So look out for the Zoom link on our group. Remember, we'll never call you beware of scammers, okay? All right, see you guys in a bit. Let's switch. Thank you all. Don't forget to jam like before you go. Thank you.